All right, you're checking out Weekend at Gabe's here on Twitch TV with the real Sam Crane joining us now from his home, Megaran. Hang on, I got something for you, Megaran.
Hey,
I was waiting. I was waiting for you, but it got hot as hell putting this on, so I had
my
to take it
God.
off.
You actually wore it the whole time?
No, this man is ridiculous.
I
You have
tried.
no idea.
Sam, how
Yeah,
long did I?
you're crazy.
Sam, how long did I have this on?
He had it on for a solid
Was
20
that-
minutes. He was really committed to wearing it throughout the show. And then, shout out to him for bailing.
I respect your dedication to the gimmick. Yeah.
There you go.
I got mine right here.
Never. That's how y'all feel. Where's mine?
Yep.
Where's
But you
mine?
You got the blaster though, right?
I actually auctioned off the blaster during my last tour, kind of before all this went down. So yeah, the blaster, and they don't even sell them anymore. So it's like they're gone.
Oh,
So you gotta overpay somewhere to get it, probably. No fun.
I saw it. I saw it at GameStop about. It was over the summer. No, it was late last year. I saw it at GameStop, and my son pointed it out. He's like, "Yo, that would go dope with the helmet," and I was like, "Nah, I bet I can get it somewhere else."
You're like, nah. Nah. Yeah, man. They're really hard to get now.
My hands on it.
Yeah, they're hard to find, man. Well. You're gonna wind up overpaying at this point. But I have a red one. It actually belongs to my DJ. What we used to do is I'd have the blue one, she'd have the red, and do like a Mega Man, Proto Man thing. But the last gig we did together, she forgot it, or we left it at the venue, and then I went back to the venue and they gave it to me. And so since we haven't been together to do shows, I still have it. So I kind of use it occasionally, but me using the red one just doesn't even work right. Like it doesn't fit my swag at all. So yeah, I just leave it up on the shelf.
Oh, good. Well, man, thanks for finding time to join us, man. We appreciate it. We were gonna wrap the show, but then we're so glad that you we just.
Oh no, you can't wrap the show. Let's chat.
No, I mean no, but the funny thing about this show is, which has been an absolute disaster, because you didn't come on when we thought you were gonna come on, but then we also didn't hit the live stream, and so we talked for about 40 minutes by ourselves.
Gabe is using the term "we" very loosely. Very loosely.
Yeah. The use of "we" there.
Yeah.
It only takes one person usually to hit the.
Spock was not involved.
Listen, we're gonna succeed together and we're gonna fail together. So I need full commitment from you.
It's only right.
Yeah,
it's only right. That's how it goes.
All right. So, but anyways, we're glad that you're joining us. We appreciate it, man. The new book out there, Dream Masters. I don't have my copy; it's downstairs. But it's fantastic. It's a fantastic read. It's honest. I think it's funny as hell. Some of the parts that probably aren't funny. We were talking about this last night. That I found a lot of parts that were just like really sad, but also funny as hell.
I tried to make it. I tried to match the humor with with the sad. I tried to like balance it, you know what I mean? Like if I could at all, it was really important to me to try to show the humor of life, coming up in the 80s or whatever, but also really make sure that I didn't realize. I had a lot of people told me like it's a lot of tragedy in there, and I was like, I don't really think about it because it was my own experience, but I guess they're right, you know what I mean? Like I guess there was some tragedy, but it's about powering through, and I think that's the main goal and the main issue I wanted to make sure was stressed, is that stuff sucks, but like we managed to get through it, by working hard and hustling and staying positive,
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
It was deeply insightful, man. I got there were so many like really great parts, really inspiring. The part that hit me the most was the Trayvon Martin chapter, man, entitled Trey. And I didn't expect it to hit me like I did. You know, like I knew where we were headed, obviously, with the chapter title. And you weave this really great story of sort of your experience alongside the trial. Talk a little bit about that without giving too much of your book away, you know?
Yeah, man, it was a rough time just in general being, you know, I had friends in Florida that were near where it took place that were telling me all about that area and how it had been tough for people in the past and, you know, the kind of people who live there and maybe what they're thinking and, you know, telling me about the climate out there. And it really kind of got me sad. And on top of that, just being a teacher, you know, this was 2 years removed from being an educator and being like, man, Trayvon looked like my students, you know? And so I was really internalizing it in a whole different way than probably a lot of people, just being like, man, I saw kids who look like him every day. And my biggest fear was I would always try to tell those kids, you know, like, yo, you can't walk down the street acting like, you know, everybody owes you something. You got to be careful who you mouth off to. You got to, you know, like I tell these kids these type of things all the time. And so to see like the literal worst case scenario of something like that go down. And then, you know, with me, the show has to go on. Like I'm touring, I'm playing shows to pay bills. And to be in a place like Seattle, which I thought was, you know, a pretty woke, pretty, you know, really strong city as far as like social justice issues go. And then to see that juxtaposition of like, oh, we want you to give us some fun, happy raps. And it's like, whoa, this is a really sad moment, you know? And I just got an email like 2 days ago from a person who was at that show. And they were like, dude, I just read your book. I didn't even realize. I do remember like some awkward moments of silence and things, but I didn't even realize what you were going through, you know, like, and so, yeah, it was interesting. And he was thanking me for like kind of letting him in on that experience because they wouldn't know unless I told them, you know? So that's really what the book was about, like getting those ideas and those feelings out in a constructive way, you know? And so, yeah, it was something, man. It was very emotional.
Oh yeah. The catharsis definitely is there. Sorry, Gabe, go ahead.
Did you think that with writing this book that you would relive so much trauma? Because I know that there was like points in throughout the book, and I think it was with your uncle when he was murdered, that you kind of like buried a lot of stuff, and you know, but like writing this book, did it kind of unearth a lot of the things that you forgot that you were feeling, or that was it like you meant, like Sam mentioned, was it therapeutic, therapeutic. Why can't I say therapeutic? Sorry, therapeutic for you to get through. Like, what was when you were like, you know, because these are personal stories for you to put into the public. You know, I'm pretty sure that was tough. But what was your feelings like as you were going through it?
It wasn't easy, but like, and some of them, you know, I'm just like worried about like how the other people involved would feel. Like, I'm sure they don't necessarily want those stories out. I worry about my mom, like conversations I never had with her, you know. But, you know, the book was like my diary, you know, and that's usually what before that has been the music. So when I have those ideas and feelings, it's the music that stuff comes out in. So, but there were things that were even buried beyond like rap songs. Like I couldn't even necessarily fit this stuff in. So, I felt a huge weight coming off of me to be able to talk about this stuff. And yeah, it was like literally through the moment in the process of writing where I'll be like, yo, I've never connected those two things before. You know what I mean? It's like, what else happened that year? I'm just looking through like a timeline of my life. Like, thank goodness for like social media, which really helped me with that. Because then I can look through and be like, what was I doing at this time and this month? And what was I saying? You know, and I'm like, wow, like that happened at the same time that this happened. And oh, snap, you know, so it really helped me to put 2 and 2 together a lot. So I recommend anybody just write, you know what I mean? Write the story down. You'll learn things about yourself in the process, you know, even if you never plan on like releasing it, you know, it's just writing those things down and looking at a timeline will really help you to understand, like, why was I so angry at this time? Why was I writing music like this? Why was I making art like this? Why was I, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, so then you start putting it together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some really funny and just moments that I connected with. One was when you're mentioning like you played Little Nemo, like that game was the shit for me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Because I think like what you're saying, like when you would get incentives for being good, your mom would let you buy games, but none of the $40 games. And so I'm pretty sure it was the same thing with me. That was like in the $20 bin. So that's why I connected with it.
We could only get the $20 bin, or we could rent games, but new games for $40-$50, no chance, man. I could never get those.
And the way you talk about like growing up with your mom, it's like this kind of almost this love-hate relationship, It's like there's a lot of things the way that she's structured and developed and parented you is like there was things that you loved about it, but then there are also some points where it kind of like pushed you away into doing things that weren't smart decisions. How have you, like, going through this process of writing through it, have you discovered kind of like her parenting style or better understood about what she was doing, or that she was just doing the best that she could because she was, juggling school and work, and she just did the best that she could in what she knew how to do?
Oh yeah, I realized that she was doing the best she could. I had so many situations where I kind of resented her for not being there for me, but I realized that if she would have been there, if she wasn't able to do those things because she was out working 2, 3 jobs, 4 jobs, overnights, and all types of things, so that I could have all the cool things I needed, so I could have nice gear for school or new video games or whatever. So I understand now, but it's hard to say at that time when you're a teenager and you're like, man, I want to be around my mom. Like I mentioned, she got a new car and like I couldn't even ride in it. It was just basically to take her to work. That's just what it was. So it made me kind of resentful, but at the same time, it wasn't her fault. That was just my reaction to not being able to get the attention that I wanted coming up.
Growing up in the crack era, like, what the fuck was that like? Because we were I was talking with last month for another podcast that I work on, Pick Your Brain. We were talking to Tajay from Souls of Mischief.
Nice.
And that's we were asking what was East Oakland like in the 80s growing up? He's like, crack. So it felt like there's like everyone's like sort of, especially if you lived in the Black community, like your experience was almost identical to any other Black community in America at that given point, because it had just like wildfires spread across the country. But you living around it, experiencing it, and also seeing sort of the violence seep into your education and your school experience as well. So it was like you couldn't not be around it and experience it. Like, what was that like?
It was nuts because I was too young to necessarily, know what was happening. I just knew, like, I think I mentioned, like, hip hop to me was so connected to it. So on one side we had, hip hop was about wealth. It was about looking cool and all these other things. And then, the drug side of it, was like, there was dilapidation. There was, houses that were falling apart, that, abandoned houses that were being purposed as crack houses, and seeing people do all types of things and steal from family members, in order to get a fix. So, man, it was difficult. Like, I don't know a lot because I was so young, but just not looking back, I could be like, oh, dang, that's why that guy was, crazy. Like, things like that. Like, people would just say, oh, this person's sick or they're not right. And it might have been, drug addiction, and so many people's families, parents, just broken up, so many homes, and that's really what I saw, because I was like right in the middle of it, they say like 80, 86, 88 or whatever. And that's like when I'm like 10 to 12, so I was still young, but seeing both sides of it, like, oh man, the people who sold it were doing really well. And the people who did it were doing terribly, so I was just in the middle, kind of observing, I liken myself to kind of the idea of Nas kind of looking through the project window. And that was kind of me through my upstairs window, just watching the scene and not really understanding it, but just trying to get a better idea of it, but from a good perspective, just being able to see both sides of it.
Yeah. Sam, did you have something?
No, I mean, I wanted to talk about video games, man, because that is it, right? There was a lot of
There you go.
that is a lot
video
of
games
inside the crib, and inside the crib begets video games to me.
Oh, yes.
In my mind. So let's just kick it off, man. 3 greatest games all time, no particular order, no particular platform.
All right. Well, the way I go for greatest games is like, for me, what makes it great is that I will pick it up no matter what, no matter where, no matter how old I am. If I see it, I gotta play it. And for that reason, the greatest games of all time are Street Fighter 2, Super Mario 3,
Yes.
and NBA Jam.
Oh my
because God. These games are forever, like they're eternal, like they're forever dope. I don't care if I'm late to a meeting. I don't care if I see these games. Like I gotta be like, all right, one game. All right, like it has to happen with those games. So I think they're the greatest of all time. And it changes a lot for me, but I think those 3 are so solid, in that they'll last forever. You know what I mean? Like you can't top them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I would agree with that, but you had to sneak in Golden Gun somewhere.
That's a classic. That might be the first video game I ever played.
Yeah, dude, I almost flunked out of school playing that game.
We spent
aging myself a little bit, but we used to play like drinking games on 007, and those were some long nights, man. It was 99 bananas, and you die if you drink, and man, like woo, it was rough. So I started using Oddjob, a little dude, so he could sneak around people.
It was a GoldenEye and WCW versus NWO. Those were the 2.
Oh yes.
That were just like
so good.
Hours. They were just so good.
So classic.
I mean, in some respect, I almost identify with you, but in some ways not, because I chose to be inside and just play games all the time because I grew up with 2 older brothers, and being the youngest, you're a nuisance. You're not cool, and so all I had was like the NES machine, and then I like you, like I would just go, like my parents would let me go rent games, and so I was just playing games all the time, Bomberman, Mega Man, Super Mario 3, like all these games, and then and so that's all but that's how I got roped into hip hop. So there's some sort of similarity into your journey and mine as well. It's like listening to rap, playing video games. That's all there was.
For real, man. That's how
I feel your connection.
Me and my guy Key Murdoch, my producer, man, he was saying the same thing. Like, yo, he's like 1992. The greatest things of my life was Public Enemy and Final Fantasy. And I'm like, yo, that's real. Like at the same time. Like we were into both of these things, and it was so dope. So absolutely.
I got a I think it was 94, 93. I can't remember what year it was, but I got a boombox with a CD player, which was like monumental. If you had a CD player, it was like game changing. And I just sit there and so I don't know if you did this, Mega Ran, or that. I filled out the BMG 12 CDs for a penny. And I stuck my parents with the bill, but then that was me building my catalog of music, and so I was like
definitely did that.
Chambers, Spice One, I can't remember. It was like MC8. It was like all these records, and so I just sit there and like play Tecmo Bowl season after season, listening to hip hop records. That was it. That's all I did. It was the greatest. It was like everyone left you alone. You didn't bother anyone. You were the good kid because you stayed out of trouble. So it was fantastic.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So good. Oh man, that was me, man. Like we're like kindred spirits.
I know, that's why we connect so good.
Exactly. Absolutely. I was just playing Tecmo Bowl. I found that there's a hack. People have still been updating Tecmo Bowl since the day it came out. And so on the day of the Super Bowl, I played Tecmo Super Bowl 2021, and it has new rosters and everything, and it's insane. And so I simulated the Super Bowl on my Twitch stream. It was super fun.
I would love to find out how to play that, or just get my hands. I'm not smart enough to know how to do any of that.
I'll let you know if you got it. If you can run this thing, which maybe you can, maybe you can't. But if you can set up a stream, then you can play some video games.
Yes, get them. No, but
I'm just messing.
Look at that. You make one mistake. I did that long ago when I first started doing podcasting. Dane Grease, who produced like all of DMX's first album, and then we were like halfway through the interview, and we're like, "Yo, we didn't." Like my friend texted me, he's like, "Yo, we didn't record." He's like, "Let's just try to backtrack through some of the stuff we did." And so we're just like retell the same stories without him knowing. Like, and it came out all right. It was all right, but it's one of those things, and one of those things that happen.
It happens.
Yeah. So but I found it kind of funny that there's the Gooch, like your neighborhood super villain, bully Ant, who was just like carrying machine guns in a gym bag.
It's like
it's almost something out of a TV show,
Yeah, it was Gooch. We'd be like, "Hey, what's up, Gooch?" And like you had to be on his good side because like he would let you have it. And like, it was like I mentioned, like he would be the guy like, "Oh, I want to play. You playing tag? Are you playing video games?" And it's like he's not asking, like he's in, and you didn't want to catch him because then he'd be mad and want to fight you. So it was it always made like playing street games real difficult. Like, "Oh, you got me again, man." Oh, but yeah. But I'm happy to say, though, I didn't mention in the book, I realized is that he turned his life around, man. He's a Muslim. He got married. He is doing very, very well. Stayed out of trouble. And last time I saw him, I almost didn't recognize him, man. He was like full suit and was like, "How you doing, man?" And I was like, "What? Is that like I'm just like, I'm like a grown 30-year-old man. Like, is this some kind of trick? He gonna beat me up, But like, no, man, he got himself together. No time for the games.
Did you go full Tupac? Like I'm not mad at you. Oh, you a Muslim now? No more dope game. That would have been a perfect opportunity.
That's a perfect line for that. Oh gosh.
One of the things that also kind of like stuck out to me is like just your lineage, like you just not having a full understanding of like where you come from, where your name originates from. It's like you have this very cloudy history that's not fully developed. Going through this book, did you kind of like, because you mentioned that you were like worried about your mom and how she would respond or receive you talking about her.
Sure.
Did at any point you just like, listen, can you just lay it out for me so there's no confusion about this? Or is there still some history behind everything?
Since I finished the book, we've had the conversations. So I honestly think that's going to be another book. Like we've had completely like deep conversations that she's never, ever wanted to share before. So the fact that maybe it's the book, because she was like, "Oh, well, if you didn't know, maybe you should have asked me." And I'm like, "Yeah, right. Come on, Mom. I've tried. Remember you told me to shut up, or you told me to mind my business, or, things like that." And she's like, no, I didn't say that, so trying to be nice about it. But yeah. So now we've had talks. Even today, she was telling me new things. And I'm just like, oh, wow. Like I'm jotting things down, making notes, and about my father, and she's like, yo, he's with the Peace Corps and he's in Liberia right now, I think. And, and when I call, a lot of people, they don't want to put me through to them. They're always like, "Oh, wait, let me," it's a lot of secretive stuff going on. And like people need their palms greased to get you information. So it's really weird out there. So I don't know how much of it I'm really want to dig deep on, but yeah, I really think that'll be stuff to put into the next book for sure. And that's what my editor kept telling me, like, it's for the next book. It's for the next book. Like, because I never knew when I was finished. Like I kept writing and writing and writing and writing. And she's like, you got to have an ending point. So I ended with 2018 at the beginning when I got the Guinness World Record, because I just thought that was a cool milestone to end on, and
Sure.
so yeah, there's a ton that's happened since then. So, and then there's different paths I can take that maybe, things that I didn't go into a whole lot in the book that can be answered in the sequel, Dream Master 2, coming soon. I don't know. But yes,
No.
the book's out now. Go get it.
Oh yeah.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah, definitely go put it in your life. It's a reasonable price too, so there's no reason to cheap out and not buy it. I think so. And one of the things that before we let you go, Ra, is that I also hate geometry. I read that you failed geometry. Geometry is
dude, it's the bane of my existence.
Terrible subject.
Do you ever have a point in your life, Gabe, where you're like, damn it, I should have paid more attention in geometry class? Has that ever happened to you? No. And I'm not disrespecting anybody with like math degrees, but I've never had a moment where I was just like, man, if I knew more math, I could totally win right now, unless I was on a game show or something. But like, man, it made me so frustrated. Like I could do it. And then later on, I wound up teaching math later, like not geometry, but like 7th, 8th grade math. So I'm learning with the kids. They're doing algebra and they're like, because X is 5. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Yep. It sure is. Like,
right, you are.
I'm like literally picking it up, like, oh, you smart. Yep, you got it. You got me. And it was crazy, but like teaching, they throw you wherever they have a need. So you come in saying, look, I have an expertise in reading and English and social studies and this and that. And then like, look, we need a math teacher. So I don't care about none of that. Get over here. And then you got to start taking the books home and studying, man. And so yeah, that's really what it was. And I trial by fire. That's a lot of what the book is the trial by fire phase of life, where you're like, you gotta learn. It's just like you're gonna learn it one way or the other, or you're gonna just fail trying.
No, exactly. The funny thing is I took geometry in high school and I failed it. I was just awful at it. Every day was just awful to go to school because you just suck at it and you suck at something. And then when I went to the community college here in Chicago, it was part of my curriculum for my degree. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm older now. I should be able to get this. And it was like me being right back in high school. Like seriously, it was like me, like 22-year-old Gabe and 16-year-old Gabe. That 6 years didn't matter. It was like still the same kryptonite sitting in those books. It did not matter.
Yep. Oh my God, it's so ridiculous. It's so hard, man. Yeah. If people who can do it, man, God bless them, man. The math folks out there, the math teachers, man, more power to
them. The new math now.
The new math, yeah.
But before we let you go, I need to ask you, because as being a former teacher, and there's a lot of news now about teachers returning to the classroom, and I know according to the state of Texas and Mississippi, we talked earlier, we won the battle on COVID, and you don't need masks anymure.
No, you don't need those.
So, yay! Oh, I wasn't aware.
Yeah, we won the battle on COVID. Yeah, we won.
Okay. You say so. I'm a shut up because I live in Arizona and we're not much smarter. So I got to watch our guys Doug Ducey and see if we're not following right behind them by next week. So I don't want to laugh too much because our state has been doing some wacky stuff too. But that's insane to me. Like that's insane.
Well, my question is like, would you go back, considering the circumstances you know now in the environment? If you were a teacher,
hell no, Gabe. I told my wife that I would go work at Walmart before I taught again. Like if we really, really needed the money and I just needed to be doing something, man, I'll go work at Walmart or something. Because at least I have a full expectation of that I'm going to be getting screwed, going in, coming out. I'm there to do a job and go home. Like there's just no, man, no. I did 5 years in public school. I did 2 years in a specialty school, and it's some of the most stressful time I've ever had in my life. And maybe I was just in a bad school. I was in bad situations. You know, I was in a charter school where they had a lot went wrong, you know, but like, no, I could not do it. Like teachers right now have it probably worse than when I was teaching. So a lot of my friends who still teach are like, man, what would you do? Like if, you know, if this was happening right now, I'd be like, I'd quit. And like, so, you know, and maybe that's not the best message, you know, to be a quitter. But sometimes, man, who said it? Kenny Rogers. Sometimes you got to know when to fold them. And and I've heard, you know, and one of my elders, mentors, told me a long time ago, and I think I said it. Maybe I put it in the book. I don't know. But she was like, man, you go in there trying to make a change and they'll mess around and change you before you can change them. And that's really it, man. You get into that system that's almost so corrupt where people are just kind of getting over social promotion, pushing kids through, not necessarily making sure they learn what they have to learn, not holding parents accountable, teachers accountable, students accountable.
Yeah.
You know, you just put yourself in a really, really rough spot. And I don't know. I don't know if I can live with that. Coming out of here, going home every day with tons of paperwork, upset that my students aren't getting the resources they need. Like, man, they gave me 40 photocopies per month that I could make. And that was like it. They're like, hey, look, when you come in, there's a code on the copier and you can only use this amount of paper and you're done. And I'm like, so what do I do if I need them to take something home? And well, just make one copy and make them write it, make them copy it down. Just make them copy. And I'm like, oh, come on. And then they'll be like, don't teach to the test. And then they'll be like, here's how to teach to the test. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, changing my kids' grades, like all the things I've seen, bro. Like I can't willingly be a part of it. I think the school system and education system needs some like serious overhaul before I would feel good about being a part of it. Because if you're a part of it, you know, people say like, oh, you can change something from the inside. And I don't always
you're complicit.
Yeah, but I feel like if you're involved and you know it's going wrong, then you're complicit. And I just could not be that. I mean, and there are good teachers inside that are trying to change it from the inside. But you know what? In order to change it from the inside as a teacher, you know what you got to do? You got to leave the classroom and become an administrator. You know what I'm saying? You have to become a principal. You have to become a superintendent. So you have to get out of the classroom. So that's literally what every good teacher is trying to do, is to get to a point where they can get the hell out of Dodge. So it's really sad. And unfortunately, I can't fully, like, knowing what I know, jump back into that, man. So I hope these nerd raps work for another year. That's all I can say, man. That reminds me. Someone buy my book, please. So I don't have to go back to school.
Keep Mega Ran out of the classroom. Buy a book.
Yeah,
it's just so unfortunate because, like, I think that with your skill set, what you would be such a great, and especially for the need for more of men of color inside the classroom, black and brown men, is like you would be such a great fit. But I understand your frustration. There's a lot of great things about the book. We didn't get into getting leg dropped on hard concrete. We didn't get into you shrink wrapping games after you played them at EB Games. And then what was the other thing? And that you are a menace when MOP's Ante Up comes on. There's so many fun tidbits about you in this book that there's too many to count. But I hope in one day, pray that you come back to Chicago for PocketCon or whatever, whenever you return to the stage. We look forward to it. You were so nice to me and my son 2 years ago at PocketCon, and
man,
we appreciate
that was super fun, man. It's always good chatting with you, man, because I love Chicago, man. So I can't wait to come back. It's probably my favorite city to play in the world, and it's just nothing like it. So when all this stuff is back to normal, when we all beat it like Texas and Mississippi, then
once we get the Texas and Mississippi serum in, we'll be
then we'll be good. And yeah, man, I can't wait to get back out there. PocketCon, we did an online version this past year. Shout out to Elgin who had me come out. It was super fun. They did an online cosplay contest. Like, I didn't even think that stuff would work, but they were super creative about it, and it was dope. Like, we did a live show. I had Cisco from Drew Hill pop up and like do a little pop in from my performance. So like, there's a lot of cool things you can do with digital performances, but it's nothing like the real stage. But you can do a lot of tricks. You can call in favors and do special effects. You see my green screen behind me. Like, I've been doing all types of wacky stuff during my DJ sets. But there's nothing like being on stage, getting real life feedback from people, and just being close enough to touch. So I hope we're all hugging again real soon.
Yeah.
Exactly. We look forward to it, man. Thank you so much. The new book out there, Dream Masters. Go buy it.
Show them the copy. Show them the copy again. Show them the copy again. Let them know.
Dreammasterbook.com. Dreammasterbook.com. There are several ways to get it. They're all enlisted in order of importance. The last one is Amazon. I'm just being honest. Jeff Bezos doesn't need any more money. It's okay, but that would be my last resort. Go support a local bookstore. I haven't gotten any Chicago bookstores, so please let me know if you know any indie Chicago bookstores.
All the fucking bookstores are closing, right? That's why.
I know.
There's only Barnes and Noble and a couple used bookstores.
Dang.
And Oak Park, the table?
The book table. Yeah, that shout out to Book Table. We used to have all of them. We used to have Borders and everybody, but Book Table is like the community said no, it's not going. It's not
good. Yo, send me a contact. I'm gonna send them some books. So please send me a contact for them.
Yeah, I got you.
I appreciate it. We're trying to keep it local, man. We got to save bookstores, one book at a time.
Absolutely.
Exactly. I feel so bad because like Barnes and Nobles is our local bookstore now because all the bookstores are closed.
Dang, yo,
it's like
that's crazy.
It's like that's how far we've gone. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us here on Tuesday night. Mega Ran, the new book is out there, and then we didn't even get into the new album as well that you just dropped. So
Black Material Remake is crazy. If you love Final Fantasy VII, if you love hip hop, you love great beats, thematic storytelling, Final Fantasy based stuff, the Black Material Remake is out now wherever you stream music. Shout out to Game Chops for helping me put that together. We just finished a vinyl campaign. The vinyl was 390% fulfilled, which I think was awesome.
Wow.
So vinyls are coming soon. Real nice double LP. But you can get it anywhere you get music. Just Google Black Material Remake. You won't be sorry.
There you go. I gotta get a turntable. That's what I need to get. But I don't want to buy one of those shitty ones that they sell at Target. I need
don't do that.
One. So
yeah, get a good one.
No. I know, but it's apparently a lot of them, like all the techniques and stuff, has been sold out. So I'm very selective of what I want to buy. So I'm holding on. True.
Pick your time. Yeah, take your time.
In due time. All right, Mega Ran, enjoy the rest of your night. I know your wife is probably like, hurry up, get off the Twitch, please.
No doubt. Appreciate y'all, man.
Night.
All right, I'm gonna eat some dinner.
All right, Mega Ran.
Peace.
All right, bye. Mega Ran joining us here on Weekend at Gabe's. That turned out really well. Such a fun guest to have. I'm so glad we hung on to the show and had him join us.